Legal experts now. Work accident, truck accident, collision with an uninsured driver, or a slip and fall. Allied Injury Group has helped clients win hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. They're available 24/7 to take your call and fight for you. Remember, if you or someone you love suffered injuries in an accident that wasn't your fault, like being struck by a drunk driver, a collision with an 18-wheeler, were a victim of workplace negligence or more, get the financial compensation you deserve. Call Allied Injury Group for a free consultation now.
Call 800-781-1815. That's 800-781-1815. Again, 800-781-1815.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Skilled Show. Here's your host, Zach Hill.
And welcome on in to the Show right here on CBS Sports. Ryan Hickey in for the with on this Tuesday evening. I appreciate you joining us and making us a part of this right here. Where else? Radio. I know there's always a lot of options, a lot of different things, people, shows, movies, podcasts, always kind of grabbing your attention left and right. So appreciate you kind of, for now.
This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockelman.
I'd like to thank you for joining us here this evening, and it is Nuclear Heat, our time to have some fun and talk some wrestling, the week in wrestling as it was. When we have a premium live, we'll talk about that, but when it's just SmackDown and Raw, we'll go right to those things. Sorry, AEW fans, I got heckled a little bit that I'm not covering AEW. Catch up in the ratings, and maybe we'll do so. I'll talk some AEW once in a while. I'm not against it. I'm just I'm a company man of WWE, so I've been a longtime member of the WWE universe. It's going to be hard to take me away from that, and I do think, at least for some people, there is enough thing as too much wrestling. NXT, AEW. I mean, there's just a lot of it, in the modern era of cable networks and all that. Trying to get the live programming is where it's at. So wrestling actually doesn't do too bad in ratings compared to its counterparts, but it's just too much for me. Augie, can you watch NXT, AEW, 2 weekly wrestling shows, and then the premium live event all in 1 week?
Finishing Raw sometimes. And I would like to say I'm a diehard fan. I do watch, those shows all the way through, but yeah, that's too much time commitment there.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do, is talk about wrestling and put it down, because you're right, Raw for 3 hours is even too long. But it's funny because, again, it works in the ratings, and so I don't think they'll be going away from that. But SmackDown with 2 hours is perfect. I mean, they've got a lot of good matches in there. If you're a wrestling enthusiast like myself, I can watch 3 hours of Raw, but I do it in DVR space.
Yep.
I go back and so I can skip a few things, but and I like that because it allows more people to get on TV, more TV time, more character development and all that. But SmackDown is just kind of wham bam, let's get this going. Let's get our feuds going and have a lot of fun. And SmackDown has been really good. So this was, let's start with SmackDown as we usually do. I know it was Friday. We're going in chronological order here. We start with SmackDown. We'll go to Raw in the next segment here, but starting with SmackDown, I thought it was kind of interesting. They open up with Charlotte Flair, and boy, did they do a good presentation with Charlotte Flair coming out, the queen. I think it's perfect. She had this really sparkly red robe on. It's kind of funny, but attire is a big part of wrestling, a big part of entrances, and she really hit that out of the park. And they set us up for a Charlotte Flair Asuka match, which was particularly interesting, of course, because coming out of the premium live event, they were in a 3-way for the title. Both of them didn't win at all. In fact, Bianca Belair won, but then she got pinned by Io Sky coming in. So I was thinking, okay, a non-title Charlotte Flair Asuka feud starting. This could be some fun. And it was fun for a while, and then the championship walked right into it. So Io Sky ends up coming out. Dakota Kai and Bayley come out with her. They end up attacking both competitors. It was Dakota Kai actually hit him from the top turnbuckle, kind of kicked both of them, and so they ended up standing tall. Bayley, you can tell, is kind of the henchman here, which is interesting in her current, her original role as being one of the primary women to take over and be part of the women's revolution, but now taking a little bit of a backseat. And I think that storyline is going to continue. So it ends up in a no contest. Charlotte Flair, Asuka, probably, I have a feeling this ends up, they've been a tag team before, maybe to go after Io Sky and Bayley in the coming weeks, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I do see that. I did think it was very interesting to have Io Sky, come out, the champion come out and attack them first, kind of unprovoked. That's a little different. But I like it. Io is getting her moment to shine, and man, she's very athletic. She shows her good stuff. I really like seeing Damage Control come out. Charlotte Flair and Asuka, they're two of the better workers, so you can't. I know they get shoved down, our throats and all that all the time. And it was nice to see them just wrestle without, kind of the titles being there. But yeah, it was a fun match. It was a good opening segment, I think, to kind of catch your attention and keep you into, watching SmackDown.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what what this championship reigns consists of, because we were talking about it pre-show, and it almost inevitably has to end up with the end of Damage Control and Bayley feeling some type of way, kind of what you've got going on in Judgment Day right now, where there's just like you have the opportunity that I wanted. I think when Damage Control began in SummerSlam over a year ago now, it was Bayley introducing Io Sky and Dakota Kai kind of as her henchmen. Then they became tag team titles. Bayley was going after the women's championship all this time. And now, so there's definitely at some point going to be probably a backstabbing, but I wonder what they're going to do with Io Sky. What's her first feud going to be? Because I don't think Io Sky is the type of wrestler that's going to be able to hold this. Triple H, from what we've seen, likes long reigns as titles. I don't know if Io Sky can. I mean, it is what it is. It's just a language barrier to a degree. So promos, I mean, that's part of wrestling, and that's why it makes so much sense to kind of have her in the group. But I hope they give her a few feuds before they get to Bayley stabbing her in the back. But I do think that is the way to end that eventually.
Yeah, and I agree. I really like Asuka for her. Those two dominant, overseas wrestlers. They had great careers over there. I think that'd be really good for Io's first. It kind of looks like, it's going to be like a 3-person thing. They'll do the Charlotte Flair, Asuka versus Io Sky. They'll go there and Bianca might come back, and join them, and then they'll kind of do that all over again. But I would like Asuka. I'd like it to be Asuka.
Yeah, they kind of teased that too. It was a couple weeks ago when Asuka was the champion, and they're kind of deciding it was basically a promo for Money in the Bank, and Io Sky's music hit, and she came out and they started talking trash. It ended up being a segment where all of the Money in the Bank competitors went out and talked trash and, started to get a scuffle going. But for a brief second there, you thought that Io Sky was going to challenge Asuka for the championship. And then I liked the idea of it. So now that the championship belt has moved to Io Sky, doesn't change the fact. I would like to see Io Sky and Asuka too. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I just don't, like you said, Triple H is known for long reigns. Everybody's having a long reign right now.
Yeah.
Just don't take the belt away from Io Sky after a month. Don't even, you tease it obviously, but don't do it. And then, don't have this feud with Bayley before, I'd say, the Royal Rumble. Give her due. She's great. Io Sky is great.
The crowd's behind her.
Yeah, really behind her. I think it's just somebody new, somebody fresh. And that's always nice to see. Because she has been wrestling, with Damage Control. They were, I thought they were done, because when they were on Raw, they were losing every single week. It's like, who did they make mad behind the scenes? Because it's like they were just being fed to everybody. Yeah. I think they went like 3 months in a row of losing every single match. And now to see, Io's the champion, and, everybody's kind of anticipating that feud between her and Bayley, because I think Bayley's a great worker too, and she's great on the mic. And then you got that kind of wild card of Dakota Kai, who's been hurt, She's not cleared yet. So, you'll have to see how they kind of introduce her into that when they do inevitably split them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought about that. Which side does Dakota Kai fall on? And again, all this being teased by, as Michael Cole kind of pointed out, Bailey walking around saying we are the WWE Women's Champions, which I mean, that's a good teamsmanship, isn't it? Or we shouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
All right, now we'll move on. There's a few feuds in wrestling that just won't end, and one of them is on SmackDown. If you do them too much, I again call them the popcorn matches, where this is your time throughout the show to go up and get popcorn because you've already seen this. AJ Styles and Karrion Kross, the match we all haven't been waiting to see because we've seen it over and over again. This is supposed to be the end of it, so we'll see. Minchin and Scarlett coming out to the ring with their men, and ultimately this was kind of a messy in-ring too. I mean, these are both guys that are pretty good wrestlers, especially AJ Styles, obviously, but didn't seem to have the right chemistry, or at least just in front of the live audience at this point, were kind of stumbling over themselves in a few moves. That's kind of what made the rounds on social media afterwards about this whole thing. Minchin ends up throwing Charlotte over the announce desk after Scarlett, excuse me. Scarlett, of course, with Karrion Kross. Bailed him out one time in throughout the pin. So they were kind of making their ring interference. AJ Styles ends up getting the win here, defeating Kross, and you just kind of wonder, is it over? Will we see it again? My best guess is we'll see a promo. Well, Karrion Kross will disappear for 3 weeks. We'll see a promo of him saying he's going after his next guy, because that's how they've booked Karrion Kross to this point.
Dude, I feel so bad for him because I feel like he has star potential. He does. He's good in the ring. He is. He's normally really good.
Big guy,
He can't hit a promo himself. It's he and his wife, who's Scarlett. They're husband and wife, right? In real life, I think they are.
I believe it. Sure,
I think they are.
I think you might be right.
But man, they put him in feuds with Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle. They've put him in a bunch of feuds with people, and he just can't get over with the crowd. And his feuds just seem to be these popcorn feuds. So I think he needs to go away. Does he come back? Hopefully, and hopefully he has some. I don't know. I kind of liked what they did to him at first. He came in as this macho man, that just destroyed everybody in a way. And they're trying to do that again, but it's not working because he's losing to everybody. Right. So it's like, what is he going to do to you? Lose?
His gimmick is kind of, I wouldn't call it basic, but it's like it's a gimmick that I think a lot of people would think, like, just make me a kind of devious bad guy that has scary promos and a beautiful wife, so you can hate me all you want in every which way.
Yeah.
And then but his character is very much on at least getting wins, because his whole thing is he's talking. He's got this great entrance, which they originally coming up from NXT didn't use for him. They completely tried different character with him, which that Roman soldier thing, at least he's not doing that anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
But it is, he really needs to be booked well winning. And he doesn't. They don't give him any wins, so there's no reason to fear him. And after a while of just that's kind of what happened to Bray Wyatt eventually. Bray Wyatt's got all these very, he's going to talk and circles around you and be a great promo, and he's scary, but if he loses 3 times in a row, then the monster is not the monster anymore.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that's kind of where Karrion Kross is. They just won't feed him anybody. He's getting fed.
Yeah, and they need to stop with Scarlett, his wife, bringing that the time thing, putting it in front of people, and it's like, what is that? Is this how long it is until Karrion loses his next match? It's something like that. They just need to go back to the drawing board with him.
Yeah, I think they do too, and maybe they will. Moving along in SmackDown again. This is Nuclear Heat, our new WWE Week in Review show here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bakoven, your host, and of course, Nuclear Heat contributor here, Augie Pena, with us. So next up in SmackDown, Edge challenges Sheamus, and this was one of the bigger moments from the show. Edge's 25th year anniversary is around the corner in Toronto, and I just love Edge. His music, with his heel aura face, is great. I liked him back when he was a vampire. It's fun to remember his 25 years. Even a bit there with Lita in the ring that we probably shouldn't talk about too much because we might get kicked off the airwaves. But in any case, to each of their credit, they did a really good job of showing their friendship, showing that they kind of inspired one another. Edge was saying that Sheamus helped him in his in-ring return to let him know that like he's finally ready. Sheamus was saying when he's first got in the business and was kind of an extra for WWE, Edge actually talked to him and gave him the time to help him develop as a wrestler. I was just waiting. It was almost so beautiful. It almost brings a tear to your eye. And I was just waiting for them to ruin it, have Sheamus do the brogue kick or something. And they didn't end up doing that. Instead, we did get a small hint of that with Sheamus just saying at the end, "I just hope you didn't make a mistake," after they agree on this match, which again is kind of interesting as we go through wrestling. We kind of for everybody's sake out there, we kind of know the deal of wrestling. This is kind of the business behind wrestling, not necessarily believing that these guys are actually fighting each other. But when they do go into the ring, when they do kind of do this faux friendly match type of situation, it is kind of weird to kind of get in your head, okay, can you make sense of he really wants to have a fight with his friend, and expect it not to turn sideways? I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I can see it. I mean, because like in normal wrestling, you might have an interest in taking on your friend and just seeing what happens. But
yeah, and I'm interested because I think if you go back to when Edge came back, he said he only wanted to do this for a couple more years, right? He wanted to kind of have his return. What a better send off for him than in his hometown, in Canada. Against one of his good buddies, Sheamus, that he's never wrestled before, in there. So I think that might have a lot to do with it too. Is Edge knows he's winding down the clock, so this is it. And I think the WWE kind of has Sheamus in in the middle of the pack again, and a small little feud with Edge. One match, I guess, is what they might go with. I think that'd be good to kind of put him up in the pecking order again, but we'll see. I am interested to see it because these are two really good workers. Edge's last couple matches have been a little sloppy though. If you've gotten to catch them, a couple misses there, but yeah, I was really surprised that it went off without Sheamus really turning on him or anything like that. That was kind of a nice surprise.
Yeah, and you're right too. It's interesting that they're kind of teasing the Edge retirement run type of idea in the WWE the last couple of weeks, and sometimes they do that in I catch on to it that they do that with Rey Mysterio a lot, where it's just like, yeah, he's coming to an end. This might be his last match. And then, 3 months later, he just has an Intercontinental title, and he's, you wouldn't know that he wears that mask. So you wouldn't even know he's old, So it's kind of funny. I don't know. I don't want to say goodbye to Edge. So maybe part of it is I just, I want to say that this is just kind of build up for the match. So I will say that. Watch out for that. That might be part of what's sucking you in, but we'll see. We'll see if it is close to his end. I hope he at least makes surprising returns or something like that, because sometimes they retire and then show up every couple of years, which still could be fun for Edge if he's done doing it weekly. All right, we move on to the next segment. LA Knight, which is the hottest wrestler in the business, gets a huge pop from the crowd, coming out to face Top Dollar. Which is just from a group that continues to lose. I mean, you talk about guys that have put in their dues. I don't know if they've won a match on the main roster. Continues not to be the case here. Knight hits the blunt force trauma BFT for the win over Top Dollar, who's a big enough guy, seems to wrestle well enough, but again, seems to be paying his dues as kind of a new guy to the main roster. A lot of LA Knight shirts around the arena, huge pop. I think his music, the way it just kind of that robot voice kind of gets you going, is a big part of this. I still can't wait to see kind of what's going to happen with LA Knight, because I it's like a lot of complaint from the internet wrestling community that WWE is just not seeing it. Well, now we see that WWE is seeing it. Now the spotlight again, to me, shifts to LA Knight to, okay, is he actually ready? We know his age is advanced, but he calls himself a megastar. Again, there's a difference between playing a megastar on TV, which he's done his whole life, and actually being a megastar, which just a lot of pressure on him. So I'm interested to kind of see where it goes, because he's not particularly otherwise like outstanding in-ring worker. He's fine. I mean, he can do spots here and there, but nothing too amazing. He tried to jump on the top rope a couple weeks ago and biffed it. Again, I mentioned last week when we were talking about it, a little bit of a mix up in the promo, which is basically his bread and butter. So I think he really needs to hit it out of the park there. I've got a magnifying glass, if you can't tell, on LA Knight, because I'm really intrigued basically the battle between the internet wrestling community and WWE over what to do with this guy.
Yep. I think you got to go for it. It's so hot right now. His entrances, besides Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, there are a couple entrances, but man, when he does that's just, it's a pop. I would love to be, in an arena when he does that, but they got to pull the trigger on this. And like you said, they're showing hints that they're seeing it and they're doing the push. The question is, do you give him a chance at like a U.S. title, Intercontinental champ? Well, I guess he's not on Raw, but they're kind of flip flopping
mid-card
everybody.
titles though.
A mid-card title, or do you just kind of catapult this and kind of see how he can do against a Roman or a Seth, who just keep they're recycling feuds. So if you kind of you have a megastar like LA or megastar like LA Knight right now, mega heat on him. You kind of do you pull the trigger on that and take that and see if you can make gold off of it?
That's why, I mean, the big question right now is, what is he doing at WrestleMania? Because I just want to see what this is all leading to. How slow is it going to be? Maybe it is kind of that slow build to a mid-card title at WrestleMania. Maybe by WrestleMania, it's him and Roman or him and Seth.
I'm going to say it right now. Well, the way it's going, just have him win the Royal Rumble. Have him have his choice. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be great.
He's just so over right now. And there are plenty that are over, but man, would you just imagine if he wins that Royal Rumble still being this hot? Everybody would just freak out and it'd just be amazing.
Well, and I think this whole concern too about he's older and maybe this won't stick. It doesn't have to. Like Kofi Mania, it wasn't, it's not like Kofi is the same spot he was during Kofi Mania. Daniel Bryan fell down eventually after, but when they have this much fire behind them, behind the WWE universe, just strike. It doesn't matter if he's not going to be an all-timer. Just have some fun and print some money while you can.
Yeah, and it's one of those, we love the organically made opposed to the WWE wants to shove them down our throat. The Roman Reigns, the now it's Cody Rhodes, who's always kind of there. Organically made, they're made by the fans. It's the work they put in, and it's the fans being behind them opposed to 17 Roman Reigns where he and The Rock get booed.
Yeah,
because nobody wants
hard
that.
to get The Rock booed, but
they
were able to do it.
WWE pulled that off somehow. But yeah, I agree, man. You got to do something with him. I'm calling it right now. Royal Rumble. Let's go.
I'd love to see it. But you're right. Probably right before he wins the Royal Rumble, Goldberg will jump out and throw him out of the ring. All right, let's move to the United States Championship match. This one interesting because Santos Escobar had already beaten Austin Theory. We're kind of wondering, how does that make any sense? So they played the story of Austin Theory doesn't want to see Santos Escobar in the ring. So Austin Theory was doing everything he could to damage Santos Escobar. Eventually does, as Santos was making his way to the ring. Mysterio, the rest of the LWO come out and try to help him or make him feel better or whatever, stick up for him. And Adam Pearce says, let's make this match official with Rey Mysterio. Let's bring Rey Mysterio in the mix. I think Rey actually asked for the match and Adam Pearce said, yeah. So it ends up being Rey Mysterio against Austin Theory. Austin Theory's title reign up to 258 days. We're talking about how Triple H likes these long title reigns. It ends up with Mysterio hitting a 619 and a top rope splash to earn the victory and the U.S. title, which is it's fun. It creates a fun kind of dynamic, but amongst LWO now, where at some point Escobar is going to feel like Mysterio took his chance at the championship, and it literally did. That's how it happened. And now Mysterio is the champion. So you wonder what's next for them. You also wonder what's next for Theory. This is a guy that they put everything into. Vince McMahon, they give him the Vince McMahon rub. They give him beating John Cena at WrestleMania. He had money in the bank and feuds with Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. And he was always, slithering through at times, but coming out winning these feuds. And all of this reign comes to, with the long title reigns, often it's to get somebody over. If there's a champion that comes in and beats the long title holder, there's significance behind it. Rey Mysterio is a made man. He does not need a belt. I love Rey Mysterio. I love anytime he gets a belt, but it does kind of show you, I think, where they see Austin Theory, and I have no clue what's next for him. Well,
honestly, WWE did it to themselves because he was one of the most hated. I thought he was great. He had that selfie, where he was like that arrogant guy. And then they took the money in the bank away from him. It's like, when they do that, they give up on you. To me, essentially, they've only done that to a handful of people, not have them cash in.
He cashed in on the U.S.
Well,
title, which
yeah.
is which frustrated me beyond belief last year.
Yeah, that is true. It's like they almost gave up on him. And then these last few, he's had some matches, like you said, against Santos and whatnot, but they've done nothing with him, So it's one of those. I think he just needs to go away, go back to the drawing board once again with him. Because he's only like 25 years old. He's young.
Yeah. Good in-ring performer.
Yeah, he's got the look, that the WWE always wants. He can cut a promo like no other. He's great at it. So what's stopping him? WWE, they're creative.
Yeah.
It's just they have no idea what to do.
Just
and
missing a little bit of personality. It seems like I don't know what his thing is. He thinks he's better than you.
Yeah, and that match with John Cena just didn't go over because John just looked very rusty too. I hate to say it. I love John Cena, but
John Bald Spot Cena now.
Yeah. Oh man, what does he do now? The 5, he does that like new finisher or whatever. He does that whole that anime thing. Come on, John Cena, can't do that anymore.
All right, so Rey Mysterio's got the championship. We have not seen the U.S. title change hands, like I said, in almost a year. So big deal there. We'll see if Rey has a long feud. Again, I would doubt it because he's a made man.
Yeah.
I think this you pretty quickly turn to Santos Escobar versus Rey on that one, and really LWO needs it because Santos has been pushed to a point where he's a known name, but the rest of LW I can't even name them.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least it gives them something to do there. Bloodline finish, and of course, this is what we all wanted to know coming out of SummerSlam. Why did Jimmy turn on Jay? And what WWE came up with is that he explained that what being tribal chief did to Roman Reigns, it corrupted him. It made him a terrible person, an a-hole, which the crowd started chanting. And so he wanted to save his brother from that, and that is why he super kicked him and cost him the match. Just to wrap up what happened there, Jay laid out Reigns with the spear and then rocked Jimmy with the super kick when Jimmy was going for the embrace. So he kind of teased him on their embrace. What brought me back into the Bloodline feud is how it ended very, very late there at the end when Jay says, I'm out of the Bloodline, I'm out of SmackDown, I'm out of WWE, deuces, ooses, and left the arena. That certainly kind of helped to me overshadow the nonsensical way of getting around the SummerSlam thing, which again, to me, I mean, I get it. They're probably setting up a fatal 4-way at some point or something with the whole family combating each other. But
it's just so messy, just that explanation was one of the worst I did it for you. I did it because I love you. I didn't want you to be. But what saved it, if you got to watch it for me, is if you watch Roman Reigns' expressions when all this is going on, he's confused. And then Jimmy's like, I did it so you don't be like him. His facial expression's like, I'm just standing here. Like, why, I'm just catching strays over here. And he does such a good job of selling it. But man, that explanation was horrible. This was like almost a comedy sketch, because then Jimmy comes in to embrace. He thinks he's going to get a hug. And then Jay just super kicks him. And I just was laughing because they sold it. But yeah, and I also did see that WWE has now moved Jay over to the alumni section, so they're trying to make it seem legit that he's gone. So yeah, they hooked us again. There it's like what's really going to happen here? How long are they going to wait before they pull the trigger there? They kind of put themselves in a corner there, and now they're running this angle where he left, and we'll see.
Well, and I think he's also on the promotion poster for Payback, along with his brothers and Roman. So again, I think this is within storyline, and it almost makes you think kind of. And we'll see if this turns out true, but I think he'll probably surprise show up in his black hoodie in
with
2
the
weeks,
hat.
2 or 3 weeks, and just do the same thing to Jimmy that happened there. But it does make you interested with Jay, like Roman's somewhat part-time. With Jay, now they're writing off. What are they going to do with Jimmy? What are they going to do with Solo? Two of the probably, at least as far as what they've been booked, kind of the lesser booked guys. And I mean, everybody's been booked well in the Bloodline, but the two lesser booked guys in the Bloodline, and see if they can carry it for a minute. I am interested to kind of see where they do go from there. That'll wrap it up for SmackDown. We got plenty more to talk about with Raw coming up, but we've got to take a break. So we'll take a quick break here on Nuclear Heat. Once again, thank you for joining us. It is our new WWE Week in Review show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We had Hosta Breezy of The Breeze on last week. Thanks again to him for joining us as he and DP enjoyed themselves some SummerSlam. And so it was awesome talking to him. And thanks again, once again, for him for joining us. And we'll try to get more guests on throughout as these shows go on. And there's always more to talk about in the WWE. And that's why I'm excited to do this show. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest.
Oh,
At Acres Equipment,
I think we
we
kind of got
pride ourselves making that engine run smoothly. Farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24 an hour, which grows to $28.27 within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln. Always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com/Easter.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
To Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakoven on 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket. Once again, the weekly WWE Week in Review show. I'm Jake Balkovin, your host, along with Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena, as we jump into last night's Raw in review. Of course, Monday Night Raw, the 3-hour show on the USA Network. Always a lot of fun. I look forward. It's for your case of the Mondays. Nothing like Monday Night Football or Monday Night Raw to kind of get you going. Okay, well at least there's something to look forward to.
Yep, I agree. It's always it's always nice and fun to have. It's and even for some of these segments, that we'll go over. It's nice to have on the background. Oh yeah, Raw's still on. So
yeah, Raw's perfect for background because again, it's 3 hours long. So you got to check in when you get the matches that you're interested in. And hopefully you're interested in the Judgment Day, and hopefully you're interested in Imperium because both those groups getting a lot of screen time, and I am, so I'm kind of excited for it. But we've talked about in recent weeks, we are a little bit tired of Judgment Day main events where they go 3-on-3 with some combination of what is it? Sami Zayn. We can name them. Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. Yeah. So it's some combination of that. Sometimes Riddle's thrown in there. But that's usually the main event, and then Judgment Day loses the match usually because of something about Finn Balor and Priest not being on the same page, and then Judgment Day ends up beating them up afterwards, which we kind of got tonight. So it's a little different. They at least had a singles match to lead up to it, but it was the same result. But we'll get through it. Judgment Day opens up Raw with Finn Balor. Without Finn Balor, I should say, and that was pretty much the point of their promo is kind of where's Finn. JD McDonough, who we've seen backstage with Finn Balor in previous weeks, comes out to say a message for his fellow Irishman. That's kind of the connection they have together. Sami Zayn then comes out and starts fighting with McDonough. It's interesting because Judgment Day and is kind of hesitant to allow McDonough. It's kind of like you're not one of us type of thing, so you can't speak for our brother. In any case, Sami Zayn comes out and starts fighting McDonough. Of course, beat up Sami Zayn and made him ineligible or not able to fight in the main event last week. So no help from the Judgment Day. Sami Zayn as fighting McDonough. It leads to a match. So that's the first match. Got 2 segments of TV, so plenty of time here. Good match. Two guys that can go could go pretty well. Zayn sold the elbow injury throughout the match, which I thought was good, kind of leading back to what they did last week. So some continuity there. Balor pretended he was going to attack Zayn as a distraction, but Zayn kicked out of the roll-up. Eventually, Zayn knocks Balor off the apron before hitting the haluva kick for the win over JD McDonough.
Yeah, and this was a fine segment. It was a good first segment. I found it hilarious when Sammy came out to attack JD, and JD's like all reaching out his hand, asking for help, and the Judgment Day are just like, no, we're not helping you in there. But I thought it was a really good match. I thought Sammy, as you said, sold that injury, and JD, I don't know who he is all that much, but I guess he and Finn have known each other for 20 years. I think that's the background they're going with.
I think is good when they bring up NXT guys to kind of give you that, because I don't know either, but just to be like, oh, Finn knows him. Well, Finn knows him. I know Finn.
Yeah,
so it just kind of helps.
And it feels like he and Finn kind of are the same in the ring too. They smaller guys who like to jump off the ring and the ropes and whatnot. But man, I love Sammy hitting those haluva kicks. I think they sell them so well. Yeah. And he's just so flexible. He can really get his foot up there to get it. But I thought it was a nice segment into what would be like what they're on the show like 3 more times in there and everything. But yeah, I thought it was a good opening. I enjoyed it.
I like kicks too. Like the haluva kick, it kind of stands out. It's a little bit different than other kicks, but I always just like how people name their kicks, like Sweet Chin Music or Bro Kick or whatever it is. They're all kind of the same move. It's just a kick. But that one is specifically in the corner. It really, like you said, his flexibility kind of stands out on it. So it's a really good looking kick. And of course they time it up well with the noise. So it looks like he just, knocks him out. So it's a believing, I'm a big fan of believing finishers. That's a believable finisher.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like you said, the sound, the noise, it's like if somebody were to move their head wrong, when he's delivering it, that could legitimately knock somebody out, opposed to like what the Bailey to Bailey, things like those. This haluva kick looks like it would be deadly if he actually connects to it.
It is fun to watch. Zayn is a really good wrestler. So we move on from there. Gunther comes out now next with the Giovanni Vinci. I always want to say Da Vinci, but it's not. Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser of Imperium. They are kind of bragging about how Gunther is so close to having the longest intercontinental title reign. Alpha Academy then enters the ring, of course, because Gunther's next opponent will be Chad Gable down the line. But they've also got this kind of side thing going between Imperium and Alpha Academy, where Ludwig Kaiser is hitting on or interested in Maxine Dupree, which I think is good. It's kind of given the other parts of the group something to do in the future.
Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious. Sorry,
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're good
on that one. But I thought that was hilarious, and that was kind of one of my favorite parts of Raw. He's all like, you shouldn't be with these, low lives, and he was kind of digging at Canada there a little bit too. So I thought that was hilarious. And then Maxine, man, that slap sounded like that was legit. I know, they can enhance it, but that sounded legitimate.
Maybe she should
in there.
try out for Power Slap if you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've seen it on TikTok. That no, that's outrageous.
You're not too much into that one. I don't disagree with you, but it's interesting because Ludwig Kaiser also getting rave reviews around the internet for his last couple of weeks. He seems, another dimension of wrestling, and that's what kind of makes the 5-tool players. If you have all these things in line, one part of it is just acting, and Kaiser seems to be really good at acting. Yeah, he seems to be the one that you can understand the most clear on the mic too, because even when Gunther talks, it's kind of hard to understand him. And Vinci, I don't even think I've really heard him talk. I mean, he's kind of just like he's just there,
So unfortunately, we've talked about this before. I feel like he's a guy that will be shown the door. But yeah, Ludwig Kaiser, I think, has some potential there. He's great on the mic. He's good in the ring too. And he's a good actor. So I think he's got potential.
So this leads to Chad Gable versus Giovanni Vinci, two similar sized guys, but right now is not hard to figure out where this was going. Chad Gable getting the monster push right now. Vinci, like you said, we don't hear him. He doesn't have any personality. He's just there with Imperium, which I think at least is good because I think Imperium needs 3 guys. But it just kind of is what it is. So at least he got some TV time in a wrestling match. Gable ultimately gets the win with the rolling German suplex, which again I think is impressive. I'm really with Gable. I don't think that's a great finisher because it's not too impactful, and the guy's just kind of sitting there, not kicking out of what would be very easy to kick out or at least wiggle out of.
It's essentially a roll up, but it's like a soft German suplex into a roll up. And that, I saw it. I saw it last week when he did it to get the title shot against Gunther, and that was the one thing I was like, his finisher needs some. It's a realistic wrestling move, I guess. It does look like a because he's an Olympic gold medalist. But yeah, I agree with you there. This match was, I love Chad Gable, but man, this Da Vinci guy or Vinci guy, sorry. He's not it. He's the jobber of the Imperium group. He's just going to be fed to everybody right now.
Which is interesting because they did a backstage segment too with Gunther calling out Kaiser for being distracted by his girl or not his girl, but Maxine Dupree. And he seemed to get more heat, even though he's had quality wins than Vinci did. It was just kind of like, you're not doing anything. And by the way, you're really not doing anything. He starts getting on him. And it's like, well, Vinci's useless right now.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything.
100%. He's gone.
So we move on with this feud. Another way of another couple of them getting in the ring together. This time the big guys, Gunther and Otis. Gunther ends up an impressive powerbomb. This is a fun match. I mean, this is 2 big guys, all the personalities involved. Gunther ends up powerbombing Otis for the win, which is impressive as it is. And sometimes I think Gunther's powerbombs are a bit sloppy too. But I thought he did pretty good there for the size of man he was picking up. Gable hit the ring. Kaiser. They both there were this distraction. I mean, when I say they're just kind of both ringside. Ultimately, at the end, I should say, Gable hit the ring and after the match, and so they kind of got what usually kind of the heelish moment of you beat my guy, but I'm gonna send you a message. So it's kind of interesting where they're going from there. Gable, any chance of beating Gunther? You think?
Not. They want to take it the intercontinental reign of longest away from that honky tonk. I think that's who holds it. It's kind of embarrassing for the WWE, I think, in their minds. So they're really trying to push, Gunther. So if it wasn't within reach, I would say yes, I love it. I think he's starting to, hit his stride. But no, they're gonna have Gunther, be the longest reigning holder there. But I do hope that once, this all, they have their match and it's over, that, Gable is able to have a good feud with somebody after that too. I think he deserves it.
And I know people really like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. With Kevin Owens hurt, maybe tag team. I mean, these guys are really over. Maybe tag team Otis and Gable back into that picture for the next thing to do. They're really over right now, so you got to do something with them.
They are, and they added Maxine Dupree too, so that's great. And Otis's caterpillar is still a thing of beauty to see every time he attempts that. I love that.
Well, we've still got a few more matches to wrap up on Raw. Unfortunately, we got to take a quick break, but we'll talk about Rhea Ripley, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Shinsuke, Seth Rollins, Becky, and Trish, the feud that never ends. We'll do all that coming up next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415. Or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit, and you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour, an opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Farrell's 10-Week Challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are talking wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket and Nuclear Heat, our new weekly wrestling in review show with myself, Jake Bakoven, and Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena. We were halfway through Raw, and we'll continue it here as once again we'll do this every Tuesday night from 7 to 8. So If you're a wrestling fan and you just like to reminisce about the week and kind of get your different thoughts and feelings out there, you can join the conversation too. 402-464-5685, the Starter Heyman text line. Send in your text if you disagree or agree with anything we're saying about our week in review in wrestling. All right, let's continue with Raw. I forgot to mention this as we were going through early in the show. Piper Niven returned and declared herself Chelsea Green's new tag team partner in a backstage segment. Basically, Piper Niven was bullying her way into being this tag team partner. Chelsea Green who made the best of the situation where she lost her tag team partner, just became tag champions, and lost her tag team partner, Sonya Deville, to a real injury. So she's going to be out for quite some time. She decided to go on a podcast and also online and say, I'm just going to hold tryouts. And it was just kind of this fun thing. People, this whole, WWE universe got involved, and then you're kind of thinking of all these different options. I thought that they were going to kind of play with that for a few weeks, but ultimately they have Piper Niven make a return and kind of bull her way into having the tag team championship. And it's just kind of weird. And maybe this is a distinction that maybe only WWE, like true diehards, care about. But I feel weird about just handing a championship to somebody and just kind of taking it. And we'll see kind of where WWE goes with that, if they feel like that's if that's okay. Because sometimes they do. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, you can sub guys in and out and they'll be a champion. But
not this time. I am not a fan of Piper Niven or Nevin, Dewdrop, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
She's been off TV. Her runs weren't good. I mean, they have a chance, the bully, and then Chelsea Green is the Karen, is what they're calling her. Sorry to people named Karen in there, but
it's in our culture. That's what they call it.
They have a chance at that, but no, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Piper Niven's good for like live matches. I mean, just because she's so big, I think she's good for getting people over. Again, because if you beat her, it's just like believably like, that's a tough person to fight. But she hasn't really gotten the crowd behind her too much so far in her WWE run. And Chelsea's just so hot right now that it's kind of like, okay, this is a bit of a gamble. I mean, there's had so many different options here. And this definitely feels like a big favor for Piper Niven rather than what's best to take advantage of this Chelsea Green character that's really over right now.
Yep, I agree. And WWE just the tag championships. I don't know what they're doing. Both women's, men's. It's like they're just on the side right now. It's like, oh, let's hot potato the women's, and then the men's. I don't need. I know it's Sammy and Kevin, but when was the last time you saw the belts or they were defended or even mentioned? So they're gonna try this. We'll see. We'll come back in a week or two and see if this worked out or not.
Well, and it's funny too because they had the tag team championship main event WrestleMania for the first time ever, and then not too much long later we're complaining about how they've forgotten the tag teams again, which they do often. Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre have this kind of weird pairing going on. So they both are. Riddle's kind of been dealing with Imperium himself. And so he's asked basically McIntyre to help join him. McIntyre says, we're going to go get some pints and all that. And so it ends up that McIntyre shows up for Riddle when he's got his match against the Viking Raiders. McIntyre ends up hitting Eric with the Claymore, Eric of the Viking Raiders, for the win. The Raiders, interesting. The story was the Raiders were kind of dominating Riddle throughout the match before the hot tag to McIntyre to save the day, who's just made his return. So they're trying to really give McIntyre, a bit of a push out of this. How do you see it all going down?
It's interesting. It is kind of different. I still love Drew McIntyre. He's former WWE champion. I think he's great. Got better on the mic. Pairing him with Matt Riddle could be funny. Because Matt Riddle's kind of a big comedian. He's great in the ring too. He's got a great gimmick there. Interesting. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if they're trying to get Drew back into the title picture, kind of elevating him there. But poor Viking Raiders are just on the receiving end of everybody's finishers too.
Yeah, they're definitely losing a lot of matches as of late. We're gonna move along here. Indy Hartwell against Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ends up hitting the Riptide for the win. Not much to say here. Completely dominated the match. The only thing of note, Candice LeRae and Hartwell attacking Ripley after the match. So maybe this is going to continue. You figure it ends up with LeRae and Rhea Ripley in a similar sort of fight where Ripley will just dominate. LeRae probably next.
Yep, probably. I mean, Rhea Ripley just dominant. They're feeding her. They have no idea what to do with her outside of the Judgment Day right now,
which is sad because there's so much to do with her.
Yep. So this, continue to see this. She'll dominate these two.
Shinsuke Nakamura gave an interview to Michael Cole to explain why he taxed Seth Rollins. Then the Visionary came out and granted him the title shot. Shinsuke then whispers something to Rollins, which kind of catches him off guard, and he is kind of in his own head for a second and allows Shinsuke to hit a Kinshasa against him. And so interesting because it at least given a little bit of time, but that was the main event last week, kind of what we were left, a cliffhanger, and just a quick segment in Raw, nothing really built around it. Just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to get to the match. You kind of all know what's going to happen. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because this one right here could be great in the ring. It could be a great storyline, great there. And like you said, they gave it like 5 minutes and, he gets him out again. Is Shinsuke going to take it away from Seth Rollins? They've been saying Seth is going to drop his title here soon. Possibly, to kind of keep that championship relevant. Interesting that they only gave him like a couple minutes there to see what's going on.
I was kind of surprised by that. Then the feud that never ends continued when Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. This was supposed to be the final match between the two. Stratus had her mask on. They did a good kind of part of storytelling there where she lost her mask at one point in time, and the ref allowed her to take her time to put it back on and stopped Becky from attacking her. She later lost a match and showed it was all fake. She didn't need the mask at all. She just kind of used it. This ended up somehow in a double count out because nobody wanted to see this match again, but they're going to continue it. They end up going to the concourse area. They fight for a while. And then Zoe Stark comes and kind of helps out Trish Stratus eventually hit Becky Lynch, but the storytelling was just kind of confusing here. It's like this rivalry is so hot that they're going to go up into the fans. They're going to go up backstage. And then, but at the end, it was just kind of like, and then we'll throw some t-shirts at you and punch you once and then leave. And so it just wasn't a very big ending, which I thought they needed. Later in the show, they decide that because of all this, they're finally going to end it in a steel cage match, which is the one saving grace of the feud that never ends. I love steel cage matches.
Yeah, no, I do too. And comedy, comedy. I was laughing, they're throwing hats, they're throwing cups in there, but it kind of shows why this one wasn't on SummerSlam. Trish had a very bad botch when she was trying to do a move, and then the announcer did a great job saying it's because of the mask. But we'll see how this ends in a steel cage. It's always fun to see that happen.
And somehow Zoe Stark, I know those are meant so you can't get in there. So somehow Zoe Stark's gonna get in there and they'll continue.
She'll
to
use
match,
boat cutters or something like that.
Yeah. So it leads us to our main event. It's finally not a Judgment Day against a random 3 opponents. It's just Finn Balor against Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes, again, so hot right now. You can't have him lose. So you end up having Dom, Ripley, and Priest come out to ringside, which you could expect to happen. The ref caught Dom trying to pass a chair to Finn Balor. This allowed Priest to try to slide the briefcase into Finn Balor, and it goes right through his legs to Cody Rhodes, who hits Finn Balor with the briefcase. And so just kind of the same shenanigans that have been going on with these groups for a while. Cody Rhodes gets the pin off that. The ref didn't see it and gets the win. Ends up that Zayn comes out because obviously Judgment Day not happy about this. They start welling on Cody Rhodes. Sami Zayn comes out to try to even the odds. It works for a minute, but then JD McDonough comes out and gives Judgment Day the advantage again. You end with Judgment Day beating Zayn down, putting him through the table, and then Balor hitting both Rhodes and Zayn with his coup de grace to finish the show.
Yeah, and it same thing, same concept. Finn Balor loses, but he's still coming out strong. He still gets the end. I did love them putting Sami Zayn through the table. I thought that was interesting. And then the tease of JD McDonough really, joining Judgment Day, I think is a nice twist to it. So overall, it's kind of the same thing, but it had some twist. It was a good main event.
It's enough of a flair to make me a little bit interested. Like you said, mainly JD McDonough, and they've been teasing who's going to I shouldn't be teasing, but people have been wondering for a while who the next Judgment Day member might be. It looks like JD McDonough might get that. Or you have a very clear path for Finn Balor to kind of steer off and have his own guy to fight the Judgment Day if it does end up with that. But I was also interested. Finn Balor didn't seem to hold much of a grudge against Priest in the post-match and the beatdown. They were working together. So I don't know. Maybe they'll probably continue to tell that story and just hope that nobody noticed that, I suppose. But we'll see. That'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat, your weekly WWE in review show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Stay tuned for WTF We Talk Facts coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.